My guest, Sam Yang, is co-founder and managing director of Xandar Kardian, a company specializing in developing radar technology for healthcare monitoring solutions. In 2017, he co-founded Xandar Kardian with Professor James Sung-Ho Cho. Sam, can you tell us about UWB radar and how your team developed this into a healthcare monitoring device?
So let's start by what it collects, and I'll get into how very quickly. So our body, we always think of electrical signals, the ECG, sound, smell, heat. So there's all kinds of thermal sensors, but there's one other element that was kind of forgotten about or just ignored in the past, which is all about vibrational frequency patterns. So as we move, yes, there's actigraphy on contact-based, but we get that motion through large body motion index, through radar signals. But if you think about it, when we breathe, we're breathing, our lung is expanding, basically expands 360 degrees. Not only the chest displacement of up and down, but from the side, from the back. We collect that 360 degree motion as we breathe and get the breathing rate at an accuracy of plus minus 1.18 compared to an end-tidal CO2 gas mask, extremely accurate. Now, inside the body, as our heart is pumping and making that heart contraction motion, the motion creates a nano vibration frequency that is felt on the skin. Now, if you look very close to a baby skin, when it's and the heart is beating, you can actually see the heart going up, beating. So in essence, that's what we're doing. We're sensing through your clothing to sense the vibration pattern on the skin side. Accuracy is plus minus 3.2 compared to a medical ECG device. So that's how we get resting heart rate, breathing, motion, and presence.
This is amazing. How does the UWB differ from how we're presently collecting this vital information?
The radar sends out a very safe emissions of signals. It's safer than Wi-Fi router by 40 times. Now, so it sends out these signals 15 million times a second. It grabs information passively by non-contact method. Whereas traditional devices, they have either a wearable or a patch or some kind of a chest straps and things like that. It is all contact-based, which means it requires staff intervention. It requires the patient to adhere to that program and participation. And most critically, it is not continuous and passive. So you have to be aware of it. Whereas our sensor, as long as it's in the room or near the bed or wherever it is, it's automatic. It's autonomously, continuously monitoring you. Every time you're still, only when you're still, because baseline resting heart rate is what matters, we will collect automatically 6,000 to 8,000 times a day compared to 4 or 5 times a day. In a hospital, nurses will go in and check every 4 or 5 hours. Well, we collect consistently, continuously, and 6,000 to 8,000 times a day.
It seems like your XK300 is just as important for family caregivers who have loved ones at home as it is for professionals who are caring for loved ones in long-term care facilities. How does the XK300 affect both of these differing groups?
Because of COVID-19, a lot of the operators are faced with a shortage of staff. We've been hearing about it for a while now. And there's really not much they can do. They're trying, but still you're faced with lack of staff, which means that the amount of care and attention they're supposed to give is reduced. So what do? Which resident requires attention more now? Our device helps automate that process and tells them you need to look into resident in room number 500, for example, or whatever it is. The continuous monitoring part is very powerful in getting early deterioration detection as early as 7 days before an event. So you're able to optimize the workflow of the staff. But if you go into the home space, it is very difficult to monitor continuously the vital sign accurately. You know, you have devices, home devices, you can do it. But the fact that the resident or the patient knows that they're getting measured may change the result, right? Whereas if you're just resting in your own bed, that number is much more ideal to look for baseline changes. So it's about the accuracy, consistency, and one important fact is we are FDA 510K cleared for as a class 2 medical device, non-invasive. And that is for hospital, all types of nursing homes and residential homes. So, which means if you qualify for Medicare, Medicaid coverage, this is pretty much free of charge because it is reimbursable on a monthly basis.
You know that what you're talking about, I think my doctor called white coat syndrome, where
yeah, that's right.
When I took my blood pressure at home and it was very nice, no problem, what it should be, and I went into the doctor's office and they took it and it was 30 points higher.
Yeah.
So you battle this white coat syndrome because it's just literally taking it all the time while the person's in bed.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the reason why they recommend to take your blood pressure measurement 5 times, because they're trying to make sure that the white coat syndrome is not there anymore. Or knowledge of the fact that you're monitoring your own blood pressure changes it. So yeah, and imagine doing that 6,000 times a day. We're able to see certain signatures of resting heart rate spikes and breathing rate changes in real time, and it's very, very powerful.
Now, in a facility, who's actually monitoring this, or does it? Is there a central station in the nurse's station which will alert you if the stats are out of sync?
So the onboarding process is that a physician is going to set the parameters for the alert, because every patient is different. You know, you're suffering from different types of illnesses. So if a person can be okay if you have 30 BPM higher, but some people may not be okay if it's sustained for 1 hour, for example. So they set the threshold, and it's optional for the facility to have their own staff get the alert and monitor. But we're finding out that a lot of them actually don't want that responsibility added on. So we have partnered with various telehealth companies that will do that service, and monitoring of the data on a monthly basis is also reimbursed by Medicare, Medicaid.
This is important to our loved ones, physicians as well, because they can look at this longitudinally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, proactive health monitoring versus being reactive to an event.
I'll ask you the $6 million question. Is this an affordable solution, and how and why is it so?
Well, as mentioned before, our main target is people that can be covered under Medicare, Medicaid. And FDA clearance was a very broad clearance for us, where it wasn't specific to a certain type of illnesses. So anyone who was suffering from chronic respiratory disease, cardiovascular disease, even behavioral health, mental health, there's so many places that I mean, not places, but patients that can benefit from continuous monitoring of these physiological parameters, that it will be covered 100%.
Could you talk a little bit about the breadth of what you're able to monitor?
Yeah, so we can monitor, for example, gastroenterology issues. Because remember, our sensor is just a sensor. There's no camera lens, there's no microphone, there's no privacy invasive technology at all, which means, yes, you put this in the bathroom above the toilet seat. Now we're able to know, when did you come? How long did you stay? Was it under 90 seconds, which means possible urination? Was it more than 5 minutes, possible bowel movement? Was it too long? Was there a change? Was it constipation issues? Was it kidney issues? The problem, especially when you look at memory care, problem is a lot of the times they're, again, reacting to, let's say, blood in the urine, right? That problem has been prolonged until the body is reacting differently.
Yeah.
But what if we were seeing these trends happening in real time, and the ability for family members to just pop up, open their phone, and let's say they have some kind of a bad dream at 3 a.m, they get up, they don't have to call them, they don't have to bother the staff, they don't have to have a webcam that can turn on whenever they want. No, that's very privacy invasive. This is just passive information telling them that they're okay, they're fine, they're sleeping and their breathing is fine. So that peace of mind is just incredible for many of the family members. One other important thing that I would like to point out is a lot of times people sort of kind of dismiss the importance of resting heart rate and resting respiration rate. It is so important, so more important than SpO2 data, which is much later down the road. But in any case, we are trying to evangelize the healthcare industry.
I do have one important question to ask you.
Mhm.
Xandar Kardian.
Yep.
Great name. Fantastic name.
Yeah.
Marvel comic name.
Yeah. Yeah. Glad that you mentioned that.
How did that come about?
So Xandar, I mean, X-band radar, that was the original thing, but it also means measurement in Korean. I mean, we're a US company with the Toronto office, but our research route goes back to our university in Korea. But Kardian is also cardiology with a K, with a stronger name, but it's a sort of like a medical guardian thing. Our sensor can be in the ceiling, watching over you consistently, continuously. So overwatching your
Like
heart rate.
Guardian, cardiac guardian.
Yes, exactly. Cardiac guardian.
Can you share what you might think the one most important piece of advice you'd have for family caregivers would be?
The most important thing, in my opinion, is to respect the dignity of your family member. We designed our sensor to be as discreet as possible. We don't want it to be a reminder that they're always so weak to be monitored all the time. From a family, they're doing it because they love that person and they want to be make sure they're okay. But sometimes that can be a bit selfish because it's really for their own peace of mind. So how do you get that mutually beneficially in terms of, okay, I want to be able to monitor you, but also respect your privacy? And I think that that kind of conversation is a lot of times forgotten.